brewers, and welcome to my channel. So we are doing the follow-on video from the quick and simple sake that we started in real time 4 days ago. So in 4 days, as you saw if you've watched the part 1 video, which is up there if you haven't, in 4 days it has gone from a dry kind of rice into what you can see down here, which has got some liquid in it, which is pretty nice. So I've went ahead and taken out some liquid, as you can see. It is cloudy because it's currently got yeast in it. It's also got some rice particles, and I'm going to give it a go so we can see if it's actually been worth doing it, considering no one else has made it with long grain rice, as far as I know. That's pretty nice. I mean, it's not finished yet. It is sweet. It's got a bit of a zing, which it's supposed to, from the lactic acid. It has a little bit of fizz to it. But it doesn't have that sort of grainy off smell that you sometimes get with rice. I've played with rice quite a lot, so I know that smell well. It doesn't have that. It's actually very, very nice. I would be almost quite happy to drink it now. Anyway, if you're just planning to leave it as it is, and just let the stuff that we produced in the first video just left to ferment, what you want to do now is take out a bit of the liquid, get your yeast nutrient. This is a brand new one, don't want to throw it everywhere because it's pretty full, and add a cheeky spoon and a bit more. It's okay to put a little bit excess in. Now the reason that I'm adding in the yeast nutrient now instead of in the first video is it works better in liquid. It's hard to try and mix in gritty grains. So in there it is. Now if you've seen other recipes for sake, you will know that they don't add in yeast nutrient. And that's because proper sake is made with the mineral water from Japan, and they don't need to add the nutrients because they already has all the nutrients it needs, which is handy really. I'm not in Japan and I'm not using mineralized water, I'm using water from the tap, so I'd rather have an excess of nutrient, like so, and have a good fermentation. So in it goes back in. Then not have enough. Oh, still a bit more. Cut, it's gone all wrong. Oh, it's no big deal. You just, funny enough, pour a little bit of nutrients back out and stir vigorously, and then chuck it back in the pot. In you go. That's better, pretty much clear. So, that part's done. So if you don't want to do anything else, you don't have to. You can just let it go and it will be more than happy to ferment away slowly. But, because koji produces an excess of amylase, just like in beer brewing, funny enough, some grains produce an excess of amylase, you can add uninoculated grains to it and it will convert it. So, I think we're going to do that. Now, in the traditional method of sake making, they will add in like a little bit by little bit each day, and that helps raise the alcohol up and stuff, but I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in creating a quick and simple and easy to follow recipe. So I have got my kilo of long grain rice. I'm not going to mix and play around with grains, I just want to use the same stuff all the way through, so that way you know that it works and if we end up with something nice at the end. So I'm just going to cook up this whole kilo of rice and I'm going to add it in and mix it together. Now that should, with the excess of amylase in there, easily do this. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've gone ahead and I've put my rice on, 500 gram batches. This is because of the pan. I could use a bigger pan, but this has a nice thick bottom so the heat distributes evenly and it doesn't stick to the bottom, just how it works. So, I did get a couple of questions in my part 1 video. One of them was about using a high alcohol tolerant yeast, and because you're using staggered fermentation, you're not just dumping all the sugar in all at once. The yeast, it takes a longer time to work its way up, so you can actually achieve a higher alcohol percentage. A lot like using a high alcohol yeast, or dessert yeast as we call it. You don't start off with all the sugar at once. It graduates. You slowly keep adding more sugar to it and the percentage rises up. It's pretty much the same for the sake. That's why you can get 18 to 20 something odd percent with just basically, from what I understand, a white wine yeast, which usually only goes up to maybe 16 at a push. So just bear that in mind. Your limiting factor is always going to be the koji. The alcohol, as it creeps up, is going to get to a point where it kills the koji, and then it won't produce any more amylase, and then that's the only sugars you got. So it's just something to bear in mind. On with the cooking. Oh, I can turn this down now. Right, so I cooked up my kilo of rice in 2 portions, funny enough, and I've actually cooled it down with just cold water. It's still a bit warm, but at the same time it is nowhere near enough to kill the yeast or the koji. So in it goes. I'm going to give this a stir, because, well, I can. That's also going to mix in the nutrients that we added. But once you give it a little stir, it's actually more like a schlup now, mainly because the koji has dissolved. It's working its way through the rice. Whoa, still got the CO2 coming off, so that's good. So I'm going to add 1 litre of water. La la la. Now, the reason that I'm adding in the water is, well, it reduces the alcohol content, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but basically the koji is going to die once the alcohol gets too strong. So we want there to be a nice long time, relatively, between adding in the rice, there we go, and the koji dying off. We still want it to keep producing amylase, so in goes another kilo. Looking good. Going to give that a nice stir. I'm going to grab my other ½ kilo of rice, which has also been rinsed. It's still a little sloppy, but that's okay. It's also a little warm, but still nowhere near as hot as it would be to kill the koji. So we actually have quite a lot here. It is looking decidedly fuller. There we go, mix in the koji. Looking really good. We are now pretty much coming up to the top. Now, apart from the 1 litre that we added in, it is all pretty much produced from the rice. So that's pretty awesome. So now, I'm not going to add any more rice to this. I'm just going to leave it as it is. 2 kilos of rice is quite a fair amount, to be fair, for this. So 3 days have passed since we did the addition of the extra kilo of rice. Ta-da! And yeah, there is action going on here. It's bubbling. Funny enough, it smells like it's fermenting. So I've got myself a spoon so we can try it. So I'm just going to grab out a little bit of the liquid. There's a bit of a crust on the top. Yummy. Come on. Now I've got to mix it to get the liquid. Funny that. There we go. I've got a bit of the liquid and a little bit of the rice, but it's not going to harm. We just want to see if it is converting these lovely starches. Got some on my face. That tastes really good. It is very, very sweet right now, so it is still converting the starches in the rice down into sugar so it can be fermented. It does look quite bubbly. It is bubbling away quite nicely. So I thought I'd add this little bit extra in so you know that it works, because who wants to add extra and it doesn't work? So now I'm going to leave this somewhere not too hot. It's not like a standard fermentation. You leave it a little bit cooler. And we'll be back in about a month to see the results of this. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to rate, comment, like, and subscribe. Of course, share. Sharing is caring. So I will see you in the next video, guys. Take care.